He's the teen torturer, the epistolary eviscerator. He is the serial killer known only as PJ Maybe, and we're finally talking about him on In Orbit every Wednesday. Chloe, are you excited?
Emphatically, yes.
Get 2000 AD now. Get 2000.
Borag Thung Earthlets, welcome to In Orbit every Wednesday. I am your host, Molch-R. This is your host, KLO-E. And on this episode, it's another theme. And it's specifically PJ Maybe. Probably, I think for my money, Dredd's best returning nemesis.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
and I shall justify that over the course of this episode. I note that Chloe is wearing a relevant T-shirt. Let's put it that
Well,
way.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I wore it for last week's episode, and then we both realized that this would be the perfect shirt for this episode. And so I've been sitting here in this same spot for the last week, absolutely rotting away in it. But it does have the face of Ed Gein, notorious serial killer, inspiration for
Lovely.
Psycho.
And I've got a woodcut depicting Matthew Hopkins, the Witchfinder General, one of our nation's greatest killers of women over the last
There you go. See, we're
100
very
years.
on brand, and only one of us
Brilliant.
had to rot away in our recording spot in order to do so.
Oh, I just do that naturally. For those who don't know, way back when, in the mists of time, there was a story called The Confession. Well, A Bug was the original
Yeah.
story. That was by John Wagner, Alan Grant, and Liam Sharp. And we're talking Prague 534, which was all the way back. He says,
Way
definitely
back
having
when.
prepared for this moment.
Yeah.
Um,
This would have
five,
worked out if you would have just stayed rotting away in your t-shirt.
1987. So that's coming up 40 years.
Yeah. Just
Bloody
about.
hell. And it is, it was Liam Sharp's first work for 2000 AD. 534. Yeah. Oh no, he'd done a Future Shock. But yeah, it was his first work on Dredd. He was very young, like Chris Weston, who we've interviewed on the podcast this year. He was an apprentice of Don Lawrence, the great artist on The Rise and Fall of the Trigan Empire and Carl the Viking. What's remarkable about so one of the things that led to the creation of Judge Death was the realization of John Wagner and Alan Grant, I think possibly Pat Mills as well, which was that Dredd kept killing or arresting each week's perps.
Mhm.
So you get to the end of the episode, and more often than not, he would shoot the perp, and so actually you're killing off good villains.
Yeah, it makes it very episodic. It makes it
Yeah.
very, like, one and done.
But from a writing point of view, it means you've got to come up with new concepts every single week for good villains. And with Judge Death, it was, well, he's undead. He can't be killed, so he can come back whenever. They approach the same problem from a different angle with PJ Maybe. And in Bug, he's revealed to be this teenager, like, I think he's like, what is it? 13.
He's like 12 or 13.
Yeah, 12 or 13. And he is a serial killer. He basically kills a couple of people in a nearby apartment to test out a poison delivering bug that he has developed. So they are, and Dredd is baffled. The judges don't know
Yeah.
who's behind this murder, and that was then followed up not long after by What I Did During the Summer Holidays by PJ Maybe, 13, and it he becomes this recurring character through Judge Dredd, this homicidal psychopath who
Even jolly about it.
even jolly, and he is the story is narrated by the diary, effectively, that PJ maybe keeps of his crimes, and it's marked by um uh misspelling and
Mhm.
backwards letters, and it's this kind of portrayal of this child who clothes himself in a social mask of a below average intelligence child
Mhm.
who can be safely ignored, where actually he's a hyper intelligent psychopath. And the reference, for those who don't know, at the top of this episode, to emphatically yes, that Chloe just seems utterly taken by as a phrase, is the name of the clothing brand of
Trousers.
trousers, run by PJ Maybe's great uncle. Is it?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Basically, his extended family is
yeah,
emphatically yes, because they are the Yes family, YESS.
and they
The Yes
supply trousers to
family.
the judges.
Yes.
Um, and so you've got the Yes family, and then you've got their poorer cousins, the Maybe family,
Yes.
which is just the most wonderful bit of Wagner Grant wordplay.
Yep. It's
It's yeah.
I have nothing else to say about that. It just makes me happy. Like, leave it to Wagner and Grant to slip in that kind of dumb wordplay, this
Yeah.
kind of Dr. Seuss nonsense
I
when you're
yeah.
talking about a teenage serial killer.
And also the fact that they riff on it, because PJ Maybe's dad is just a bit of a loser, like, a real kind of, George McFly type.
Yeah.
And, as PJ starts working his way through his cousins, like murdering them one by one in increasingly inventive ways. His dad at one of the funerals says, "I've never been half the trouser man Wilbur was, but I'll do my level best for the company, I promise." And they go, "I don't get any ideas above your station. Maybe you're still an employee. You don't get to be a yes simply by marrying into the family, right, Pop? Right, son." And then Uncle Fester, the head of the family, just goes, "You'll never make a yes. Maybe I think the most we could hope for is a probably."
Which
No notes.
it's
No notes.
no notes. It's just it's so much fun. Like, the
Mm.
entire history of PJ Maybe as the Maybe Empire is extremely fun. And even the way that he ends up killing off his family. Like, first of all, like, his I have more to go into on this later, but, initially when PJ the PJ stands for Phillip Janet, by the way, which just makes me piss myself every single time. My parents wanted a girl, just like it's so good. But, when PJ starts killing off his family, it's because his dad is that Marty McFly, like, kind of a loser sort of character,
Mm.
and and he wants to be part of the trouser empire so badly, and isn't trying to invent, like, three-legged trousers, and the uncle will come back and be like, "We checked, humans only have 2." Um, it's just incredible. But he's like, "But it's the next big thing," and so he's this guy that is clearly trying to make it. And so PJ just gets tired of seeing his dad get beat down, seeing, like, all of these terrible, like, rude people succeed, and seeing
Mm.
his dad, who is earnestly, if not, a little simple, but like earnestly just trying to be a part of something and create things, and seeing him get beat down and his family be poorer and like worse off than all these jerks. So, hot take, I actually think that PJ's murder spree within his family comes from a somewhat good place. I like I know that that's I don't I just
We
I
will
think that
never be in a room together
no,
ever again now.
I feel like it's in a really dark sort of way, which again is very, very tied into the Wagner Grant sort of thing. Like, I feel like this particular little murder spree comes from what could be just a little iota of a good place in him, because he's really realistically trying to defend his family and give his family something good. And it's kind of it's almost the Robin Hood type of thing, except instead of robbing money from the rich, he's robbing life. And, but I will say the funeral for, I think it's the uncle Dredd. No, it's the first cousin that gets murdered. Dredd goes to the funeral and they have him speak. And he and it's the one time that I can really think of that I can remember Dredd being even remotely funny,
Mm.
because and it's not meant to, he's playing it completely straight, but he says like, I didn't really know him, but I know they made trousers, he made these, they fit me fine. Like,
Yeah, mine seem to fit okay.
yeah, mine seem to fit okay. It's yeah, it's such a good open, but I do think that initially there is some weird little iota of good there, even if it doesn't seem that way. But I also feel like that kind of comes back later, um, when he's mayor. Like there
Well,
is this speck of good.
there is. I mean, this is the arc of PJ maybe,
Yeah, sorry
and
to skip ahead.
but it is one of the things that I really wanted to touch on. Well, it's kind of the head theme of this, which is the prescience of a moneyed psychopath
Yeah.
achieving high political office. Draw your own conclusions from that. We shall reach that at no point at some point in this episode. But I do want to touch on the fact that there is a tradition in Dread of teenage rebels,
Yes.
and each is slightly different. And obviously, you've got Chopper,
Mhm.
who is rebellious and is a graffiti artist, and then becomes a sky surfer. From him, it's all dealing with this life of repression and lack of freedoms, is to try and find freedom, is to
Yeah.
initially challenge the system and then fly away from the system. And in many ways, the opposite of that is PJ Maybe, where his response to this world is murder.
Yeah.
To take his natural intelligence and murder people in the most fantastic way. And in many ways, he's like an inverted Columbo, where
I
um,
did see that. It's pretty good.
where you see the crimes happening, but you're following the murderer.
Yeah.
Rather, the protagonist is the murderer, so everything gets explained from his point of view.
Mhm.
And there's some joy in that. You watch an episode of Columbo, like any detective show, and you get a sense of thrill, of joy from seeing a riddle, from seeing a puzzle solved.
Yeah, yeah.
But with PJ Maybe, it's you get the thrill and the joy of seeing it executed in as funny a way as possible.
Well, and you also get to see the puzzle be solved from the other end.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, or seeing, "Ooh, are they going to solve the puzzle?" And
Mm.
especially in the case of PJ Maybe, like, I still one of my why he's one of my favorite recurring villains of the Dredd universe is because this kid is outsmarting Dredd.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
This
Yep.
kid, this child, like Dredd, who has easily been able to hunt down like creep after creep after creep over and over again. And there is this kid who says, I have an IQ so high, I can't even count it. And this, like, who cannot spell. And he is outsmarting Dredd
Yeah.
continually. And that's just so good. Like, there's something, I even took a note on this because I want to see your reaction to it, Mike.
Okay.
Um, I feel like in a really weird way, part of the reason why PJ ends up outsmarting Dredd so much is because PJ is in so many ways like a foil of Dredd.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that
100%.
Dredd is so humorless, and PJ's built on humor and built on this, like, weird, like, Negaverse Rain Man sort of situation. Like, he's got an IQ of a genius, he's got a mind of a child still, and they both in their own way, they kill without remorse because it's what they know that they're good at,
Mm.
and they kill because of duty. Like, PJ feels a duty to do these things, whether it's driven by his own ego or a duty to family or a duty to the people of Mega City. Like, there is almost always a purpose that he feels driven by.
And
Um,
so
like
much of it is,
both,
he's basically he's pure id.
yeah,
There's
but so is Red in a
he
way.
wants something, and there is nothing, there's no shame, there's no societal construct between the desires of his id and his waking brain.
Yeah. Well,
But
we've
his id is able to control this incredible intelligence to get what he wants.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, they're both psychopaths. One just has a badge. They are both entirely psychopaths, and there's in the complete collection PJ even lays out that he has rules that he follows
Mm,
with his killings. One of it was, rule 3, pick only targets you can handle and only kill when you need to.
mm.
And what's great is that is a direct mirror to how the judges think, how Dredd thinks, because
Yeah,
only kill when you need to, that's so subjective. Like, but if, is it a really subjective law that's been set? Is it a personal duty that you feel like this is necessary? It's such an ambiguous rule, but it is a rule being followed nonetheless.
yeah, yeah. A shout out to Travis Lindeman's The Horror of Police, which is a very good book, but touches on that exact point. But yeah, when you then get to the Confessions of PJ Maybe, where Dredd actually does catch him,
Mhm.
he
It's a
catches him.
gleeful moment.
Oh, it's incredible, but he catches him almost by chance.
Mhm.
Like, and this is a running theme throughout Dredd's interactions, whether he realizes it or not with PJ Maybe, is that um, PJ is only brought down by chance, by fate.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of fast forward now because he ended up in a kook cube,
The
in a pad.
entire like, almost the entirety of Necropolis.
Yeah, and
Like,
there's the wonderful follow up story, which is what I did during during Necropolis, where
that's one of my favorite, like, opening pages, just "What I Did During Necropolis" by PJ Maybe.
and it's this epistle just really works because you it's such a it's such a fantastic way of framing everything that he does because you get his internal monologue, but it's
Mhm.
done in such a way where um, you can see, and this is something that comics does almost uniquely, is you can see the contrast between what he's describing and actually
Mhm.
what is happening.
Yes.
And there is comedy in that, there's pathos in that. You can see where he's lying to himself. You can see
Yeah.
where he's underplaying what he's done or overplaying what he's done. But the Necropolis story is one of my favorites is because when the Sisters of Death turn up,
They find
and
him a bit odd.
well, they manifest as these massive um, figures, and the judges are trying to shoot them, and like if you've read Necropolis, you know exactly the moments it's talking about. And it just says, maybe I was. This is PJ maybe talking. Maybe I was just. Maybe it was just a psychotic hallucination, but it seemed to me Phobia, who's one of the Sisters of Death,
Yep.
caught sight of me and smiled real evil like, and reached out a hand, her gross, ghastly claw, and patted my head. And she just says, "Good boy."
But like that's fun because like PJ is obviously an unreliable narrator,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
which is the joy of it being told diary style, like you said. But here's the thing, even if that did happen in reality, it's funny. If it
Yeah,
doesn't happen, then it's still very telling of PJ and is very funny.
yeah.
It's all like
And I mean, I want to fast forward because we've kind of, you know, the early stories that are in the PJ Maybe collection are well worth reading. But then there's stuff that hasn't been collected in its
mhm,
entirety,
and it should be.
and it should be. But it is a story in which PJ Maybe escapes,
Mhm.
and through, I'll be honest with you, something that only John Wagner can write. He ends up becoming the mayor of New York, of Mega City One. That was a bit of a Freudian slip there, wasn't it?
Yeah, for real.
Um, so you know, he through you know, deception and everything, he has
Murder.
this, through murder, yes, of course. Um, he ends up replacing his own heart, basically taking over the body of this philanthropist
Mhm.
who's working in Central America, has the heart replaced, so the judges have the heart of PJ Maybe, and so they think he's dead. And Dredd's just like, I'm not sure this is right. But in the meantime, PJ Maybe becomes a politician. He goes back to Mega
Mhm.
City One. He's convinced to run for mayor, and ends up. And this is the delicious twist of the whole thing. Ends up becoming, in Dredd's words, the best the best mayor Mega City One has ever had.
It's but that's what I was talking about earlier, this weird little glimmer of good within this psychopathic, homicidal little maniac, because sure, he basically climbs the political ladder by killing off all of his opponents in really unique and fun ways, but at the same time, when he reaches that peak, he does good. Now, whether he does good for the people of Mega City 1 or to stroke his own ego and maintain under the radar is a different story, but regardless, what ends up happening is even Dredd just goes, "Oh, fuck's sake." Like for the like, it's like when Dredd approves of you,
But it
it's the ultimate grift.
it comes back all the way to that point you were making about them being effectively the same character. In
Oh,
in in that
Dredd
Dredd is that bundle of contradictions where he is the honest man who lies. He is the you know, the um, the champion of justice who commits illegal acts and brutalizes people. And then, you know, a character like PJ Maybe becoming a good mayor, a beloved mayor, then should make you ask, well, you know, there are, you know, it's a way of challenging the notion of heroes.
yeah.
There are
Well,
no heroes, there are no villains, because look, a good mayor is a serial killer. And you know, the real world parallels are quite striking. Not that the obvious real world parallel has done any good, but that when you break things down into notions of good and bad, of good and evil, you end up fitting things into the box where they don't belong.
yeah. Yeah, and it's well, the simplest way to put it, and this is this is going to be a whole weird conversation. Dredd is essentially PJ's Batman. Like it's Dredd is PJ's Batman, and PJ gets to be Dredd's, I don't know, Joker, right? Where it's like this could easily actually be remedied. One of you could take the other one out, and the choice is made not to, at least on PJ's part. Like, I fully fucking believe. Sorry, I fully believe. I feel very strongly about
It's
this.
fine. I don't think the algorithm reaches that deeply into the episodes.
I I fully believe that if PJ maybe wanted Dredd dead, he would
Mm.
be dead, and it would be possible.
Oh,
But
I mean, he has tried.
he's tried, but I don't think that he really did it to the full extent, because that's not as fun. And if anybody knows anything, especially about psychopath, like psychopathic homicidal maniacs, half of it is this ego-driven sense of it being fun.
Mm.
And so, yeah,
Well, it
that's my
also
2 cents.
Dredd creates the frame in which PJ maybe exists.
Yeah.
And so therefore, and you mentioned Batman and the Joker there, Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty,
Yeah,
these kind
exactly.
of dichotomies where one can't exist without the other. I can't remember who it was by. It was like a fan comic that was Batman and the Joker in a Zeppelin over Gotham.
Mhm.
And it was fantastically well drawn, and the whole thing was about the Joker just saying, "I love you. We're 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 the same. We're," and it was there was a lot of reaction to it because the Joker was saying, "We're lovers, because I can't exist without you, and you can't exist without me. So therefore, this is a partnership." And PJ maybe can't exist without if he kills
Yeah.
Dredd, that removes the certainty of the world in which he operates. That would introduce chaos, real chaos into PJ maybe's existence,
Mhm.
because the monolith, the unchanging, unmoving monolith, the thing around which he orbits and reacts to and against, would be gone.
Yeah.
And that's why he's such a genius creation, because um, I think he you know, Judge Death, obviously great villain, but he's not as I've written, he's not the opposite of Dredd.
Mhm.
He's the logical extension of Dredd.
Yes.
Whereas PJ maybe is that he is the dichotomy, the mirror image, the kind of dark mirror image of Dredd. Um,
That and because there are ways that you can have there are plenty of characters who I would even say are polar opposites of
yeah.
Dread. I
Mm,
think there are plenty of those that exist. The thing is that, he's not exactly a polar opposite.
mm,
It's not exactly a polar opposite. They are just similar enough. And the idea that he's not just this like goofy, happy-go-lucky, character or this horrible killer, but a combination of the two, um, I think I think the humor is actually I know we've been talking so much about John Wagner and Grant and humor, lately, but like it feels like the humor aspect of that is really what drives home the playfulness of PJ is what
mm.
drives home that contrast in a way that's effective. I don't know a better way to explain it. I think that if it was one or the other, if it was a little bit more unbalanced in one way, that it
Mm.
wouldn't have that effect that it does.
I also think it requires the playfulness and the silliness, because Dredd is such a straight man.
Yeah.
You've got to have the comedy,
Mhm.
and that's why it's classic John Wagner, that he does the darkest humor you can possibly imagine. But there's been lots of attempts to do kind of comedy or semi-comedy or drama from the perspective of a serial killer.
Mhm.
And the most obvious one is Dexter, a show I could never get on with
Yeah,
because
me neither.
I just didn't find it funny.
Yeah.
Not that it was trying to be out and out laugh. It was trying to be a
It was
detective
trying to
show.
do dark humor, but
Yeah,
it
but
was again, it was unbalanced, at least to me, and
because
obviously
it couldn't be silly because there wasn't enough of a straight man
yeah, exactly.
to play it off. So it never landed for me. Whereas PJ maybe is the perfect one. And also just coming back to the point I made earlier about there is a joy in the darkness of revenge.
Mhm.
Um, we all have people who've hurt us in some way, shape, or form over the course of our lives, and sometimes the notion of comeuppance,
Mhm.
of cosmic justice, is something that motivates so much literature and art. Um, but there's a story that John Wagner did with Chris Weston that was in the magazine in the 2000s, I think it was, called Six. And it's PJ Maybe now back as, this philanthropist figure in Mega City One, unbeknownst to the judge, though Dredd starts to realize what's happening. But it's PJ Maybe going after the basically the six kids who used to torment him
Yeah.
when he was a child. And he wasn't really tormented that badly. Like, it was just a bit of childhood
No.
bullying. But for somebody who is pure id, like, revenge is the best, and he concocts these incredibly elaborate deaths for them. And because they're so elaborate and so seemingly random, Dredd goes, "This does seem like the work of PJ Maybe."
This looks
Uh,
familiar.
yeah, and so you then have this kind of Sherlockian story, but told from the perspective of the killer. So you're hearing his motivation, and you do get to the end, and you go, "Yeah, no, they were little shits, absolutely." You know, I remember kids like that at school, but there is something deliciously dark and enjoyable about watching a humorous revenge unfold.
Mhm.
That kind of ironic um, uh, fate doled out to people
Yeah.
and it really helps that it was Chris Weston artwork as well, which
Oh, yeah. I
is
mean,
always good.
it's you can't really beat it for that one.
No, no.
Yeah, it's funny because then you as the reader reading that story and, uh, you kinda come away with it, and I obviously, I kinda feel this way about a lot of PJ Maybe stories, who knows what that says about me? But you do come away as a reader going, "Yeah, I can understand some of these."
Mm,
Like, even not in the, like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't go around killing people" thing, but like, the s internal need to create your own justice in the way that you see fit.
yeah.
Like, and seeing, like you said, seeing that revenge and stuff, like, it is really gratifying to read, and then you have to come away from reading that going, "Now what does that actually say about what's going on up here?"
Yeah, yeah.
And but that's, like that's valuable. That's what art's supposed to do. And
Wagner especially does it all so well.
yes.
All of his characters are always ones that should make you question your own reaction to them. So if you're cheering on Dredd, really you should be asking yourself, "Why am I
Think
cheering
about
on a fascist?" If you're
that.
cheering on PJ Maybe, why are you cheering on PJ Maybe?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's just one of those enduring ones, and his story has pretty much come to an end as far as we're aware.
As far as we're aware.
Because never say never.
Mm.
Um, but uh, there is the collection, the PJ Maybe collection, but it doesn't cover everything that from because it's kind of intertwined into um, the Tour of Duty
Yes.
storyline, which
Yeah.
it kind of makes it actually quite complex to collect.
Lots
But
of
it's
tour duty, lots of case files.
yeah,
It's all over the map. But the complete PJ Maybe collection is I would say, like, the best starting point for
oh
figuring
yeah,
out who he is as a character because it has all the confession diaries
sure,
in it, and
yeah,
I maybe I'm just too old school about it, but those are some of my favorite ones.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think those might be my favorites just because, I mean, the artwork is ridiculous, but
Mm.
they're so funny, and like you said, it's the reverse Columbo, you get to see everything happening, and it's all being done by a 13-year-old, like, a 13-year-old who cannot spell,
Yeah.
and there's something kind of macabre and magical about that.
It's funny and it's sinister at the same time
Yeah.
because, you know, he's being, uh, what's the phrase? Undervalued. No, 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 that's not the right phrase. He's being ignored by adults, basically. It's
Yes.
it's the whole kind of child thing, like, no, I'm intelligent. The world around me just ignores my intelligence.
Yeah.
Um, and he's just there in the background, just wrecking revenge, like murdering people over and over and over again. And you know, Dredd is eventually able, by hook or by crook, to work it out, but only
Yeah.
because fate intervenes and means that PJ can't necessarily um, get away with it every single time. But certainly when you get into the kind of Dom Pedro, Mayor Ambrose stuff, that's just brilliant. Like Wagner comes in and just
Yeah.
weaves this thread through the main Dread storyline of just, you know, this
Chaos.
beloved mayor who's PJ Mate, who everyone should be afraid. Don't piss him off. And you know, it's the fact that with after Chaos Day, in Tour of Duty, where you have Hershey being deposed, but not, but well, yeah, deposed by
Yeah.
Dan Francisco as chief judge, and then you know he is incapacitated. So you then have Sinfeld,
Mhm.
his deputy, who takes over, who's this petty little tyrant, um, and again, that's a point where the system is unable to prevent Sinfeld from becoming just yeah, sorry, not a tyrant in the Cal sense, but just this thin-skinned, petty
Yes.
bureaucrat tyrant. The person who actually brings Sinfeld's reign to a close is PJ May.
Which is delicious.
And it's just this
Like,
incredible. So, and I know John doesn't plan this stuff out. I know he just he likes it to feel natural and to evolve.
yeah,
But
in
it's so wonderful.
but because he does it like that, it almost seems like a Shaggy Dog story.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it has a naturalness to it. It has an easiness to it that you're reading it, you can see it evolving, and it feels delicious, and it feels real, and you know
mhm,
it feels as if um, all the pieces fit together.
yeah, it's all one big puzzle just
Yeah.
being told from a very interesting point of view.
And I just, you know, I know he has like these eureka moments where he just goes, "Oh, you know, oh,
Yeah.
actually, no, I'll pick this thread up from before
Mhm.
and I'll weave this in and everything." But yeah, it's just, yeah,
I will say, I'm going to the one thing that I will actually take away from PJ Maybe as a character
yeah,
will always be, like, the concept of just pretend you're it like, PJ Maybe is kind of the ultimate bimbo, and, like, I'm like, and it's the concept of, like, I'm going to act like an idiot so that nobody knows all of the things that I actually know.
mm.
And so I'm here for PJ Maybe bimbo extraordinaire.
On that note, this has been fascinating. Do tell us what you think about PJ maybe in the comments, Earthlets. One of those villains of Judge Dredd, which I think often flies under the radar.
Hmm.
Because everyone knows Judge Death and the Dark Judges and things like that. But rereading his stuff to chat about has been incredibly rewarding because I've just been reminded of how rich a character he actually is. So let us know what you think in the comments, Earthlets. We're going to be back in 7 days' time for more from the greatest Galaxy's greatest podcast. There we go. Brain engaged, Michael. But until then, it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from Chloe. And make sure you lock your doors at night and seal up the letterbox. And because you never know who's plotting to kill you with a little robot that drops poison.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, until then, Earthlets, splendid Verthrig.
See you next week.
Get 2000 AD now. Get to.
Well, thanks for joining us on In Orbit every Wednesday, Earthlets. Make sure you like and subscribe and go along to 2000 AD, where you'll be able to subscribe to 2000 AD and the Judge Dredd magazine. Sign up to our newsletter and you'll get hundreds of pages of free comics to download. And download the app for your Apple and Android devices. Now, don't forget, Earthlets, this is the 2000 AD universe. We just live in it.